What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel, check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on LeBron James, his recent moves and everything. This last move with LeBron James signing with the 76ers caught a lot of people off guard. But even in that, catching a lot of people off guard, I just think that like the thing with LeBron James and Rich Paul and Clutch, their ship, in my opinion, is still sinking. Right? Um, this was like, have you ever seen somebody playing chess or checkers, and you watch that, that they're trapped, and they just keep moving back and forth on the board, knowing that the game is over with, and that they, there's not a whole lot, and there's nothing they can do to win. But they keep making moves and just prolonging the fact that they done lost the game. And so that's what I see with LeBron James and Rich Paul. I just see this as a sinking ship when it comes to like LeBron James. If he win two rings in Philly, there's nothing that LeBron James can do to solidify himself as the GOAT or raise himself in that GOAT conversation. Because number one, um, LeBron James has never been able to captivate the fan base like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Magic, or Bird. He just don't have that same type of appeal to the fan base, right? Number two, LeBron James, his finals record is just really just takes him out the conversation. Number three, like his performance in some of those finals, especially the one in 2011, that takes him out of the conversation. So he just had too much of a there's too much water under the bridge when it comes to LeBron James. And like I said, he basically him and Clutch, all those guys, they basically on a sinking ship, right? But I was listening to Ric Bucher, and Ric Bucher addressed this, right? And so I want to play the audio from what Ric Bucher had to say about this situation and come back and give some more of my input.
I've held the LeBron James perspective or insight until the last item. In part, you're going to have to trust me on this because I don't consider it all that meaningful. It generates a lot of reaction, but anything involving LeBron generally does because he's so polarizing. That's exactly why Commissioner Adam Silver said he'd like LeBron to decide where he's playing next season so the league can complete the schedule. He draws eyeballs. He captures attention. He is a master at it. He knows this is the dead period in the sports calendar. He knows that having his agent throw out various scenarios while he stays silent is going to create media and fan speculation. But don't confuse being the center of attention with being universally wanted. Believe it or not, there are teams that don't want or need the attention that LeBron brings because it's not all good attention. We have a handful of teams interested in having LeBron on their roster on a contract that is a fraction of the $52.5 million he made last season. Let's look at who those teams are. The Cleveland Cavaliers, who are fourth in the East in the regular season. The Philadelphia 76ers, who finished seventh. The Miami Heat, who finished 10th. The Minnesota Timberwolves, who finished sixth in the West. And the Warriors, who finished 10th. If LeBron is still all his fans say he is, if he has all the leverage they say he does, why don't we have the Pistons, Celtics, Knicks, Spurs, Thunder, or Nuggets in the conversation? He has no interest in any of the top six teams in the league, or make that the top seven since he supposedly rejected the Lakers. Come on, people, use your thinking caps. The teams that are interested in LeBron are teams that are desperate for one reason or another and see rolling the dice on LeBron for a year or two as a worthwhile risk. That's still having value, but that's not leverage, and certainly not the leverage LeBron once enjoyed. And maybe I don't need.
All right. And so, all right, let me stop it right there real quick. Right. And so, because Ric Bucher made this statement before LeBron, it was announced that LeBron was going to the 76ers. Right. But these statements are still true. Like LeBron don't have leverage. He has a certain amount, but he does have value. And so, the 76ers see him as having value, and they place $8 million as like where that value is, right? So LeBron James signed for 2 years, $8 million, $4 million a year, right? And so that's the value LeBron James have, right? And that's like $8 million is a long way from $54 million, which is where LeBron James was at, before he announced that he wasn't going back to the Lakers, right? So that's that's a big drop off when you talk about coming from 50 something $1 million. And so, but LeBron James and Clutch, they will have you think that, like they still have leverage. And this, like I said, it's like being on a their ship is just sinking, and they're doing everything they can to try to um to save the ship, but it's going down.
Need to say this, but I will, since I get the sense that there are people sampling my work and perspective for the first time, even though I've been at this for 30 years now. Do the math. That means that I was at this well before LeBron showed up. There are people in the media who have built careers off of their views on LeBron, both favorable and unfavorable, but I am not one of them. I started covering the league 9 years before he arrived. I was hired by ESPN right around The Last Dance, 4 years before LeBron arrived. I left ESPN to do a national radio show so I could reduce my travel and be the kind of dad my dad had been for me. I also left because I believe NBA coverage didn't begin and end with LeBron. And over the course of my 14 years there, that was increasingly the way ESPN viewed the league. When I learned ESPN brass was negotiating with LeBron's camp to announce his decision in 2010 at the ESPYs, while I and others were going on air to talk about when he might make his announcement, without making us aware of those negotiations, I knew the network's relationship with LeBron had taken precedent over supporting the people covering him. Well,
and let me just talk about like the network relationship to LeBron James, and I'm thinking like, why did the network choose to back LeBron James, even though LeBron James was not the same type of player as Michael and Kobe or any of the guys who came before, like those guys who poured everything that they had into their sport, the sport that they love. That's what you usually expect from somebody who is, the face of the league. But LeBron James, the NBA by that time was already in bed with LeBron James. And so they had to rewrite that script. And so now it's not about, you're not going to get LeBron James playing the way or like what Kobe played. But and so from then on, it was just a bunch of smoke and mirrors from 2000 and I think like about 2010 on. With LeBron James is a bunch of smoke and mirrors, right? Because LeBron James, like I said, you wasn't going to get that type of passion and effort, and he wasn't going to captivate the fans the way that Kobe did. LeBron James, he didn't have that Mamba mentality, and so they had to rewrite that script and find a way to put LeBron James, with him being the face of the league, find a way to put him, in the same on that same level with Mike and Kobe, Magic and Bird and all those guys, even though he didn't play like those guys and he wasn't as passionate as those guys. He was not as dedicated as those guys. So it's been, with LeBron James, just been a whole bunch of smoke and mirror. And that's how it's been for the last, 14 years or so.
Contract was up 2 years later. I turned down the offer of an extension. After the radio show had served its purpose, I returned to focusing on the NBA for Bleacher Report and TNT, and continued with Fox Sports, in part because they were both West Coast based and required less travel than going back to Bristol. LeBron has been a great subject and a boon for all sports media, again, because he's so polarizing. But the league and sports media will be just fine whenever he decides to call it a day. If anyone was uncertain about that, it was proven by the ratings for this NBA Finals, which were the largest since Michael Jordan last played. Ruminate on that for just a minute. For all the attention LeBron has generated, for all the finals he played in, 10, he never came close to eclipsing the attention Michael Jordan drew in his last finals, or any finals. 5 most watched NBA finals ever all involved Jordan and the Chicago Bulls.
Damn, that's crazy. So, and just think about it. I like this year, me watching the finals with the Knicks and the Spurs. Like, this is the most excited I have been about NBA finals in years. And it's just because like that passion and the style of basketball. You had 2 teams that brought different styles of basketball, and both teams were passionate about it. And it just really seemed like that was something, the 2 opposing styles. That's something that you could really build a rivalry on. Like last year when OKC was in, I liked the way OKC played. I don't even remember who they played, but I like OKC. But this year, when you had like that grinded out type of style that and East Coast physical style with the Knicks going against the style that like that the Spurs had, these young athletic guys, man. Um, it was just must see TV this year. And that's crazy that the Knicks, this for all the years that LeBron James been in the league, they surpassed them, and like because like fans buy into genuineness, right? And that's just not something that you can manufacture, like the fan excitement. You just can't manufacture that. You just can't put somebody in front of a mic and say, "Oh yeah, this is exciting." You got the fans got to feel that passion. And so LeBron James never was able to deliver on that with the fan base.
Against 4 different opponents: Utah, Phoenix, and Seattle. Utah twice. This year's Knicks Spurs finals ranks 6th. Jordan and the Bulls versus Portland is 7th. That's 3 small market opponents. Only one of LeBron's finals made the top 10, 9th. And that was in 2017, featuring one of the all-time great teams in NBA history in one of the league's biggest markets, that being the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, looking to exact revenge on LeBron and Kyrie Irving. Bottom line, neither the NBA nor the world will end when LeBron stops gracing NBA floors with his presence. Don't confuse social media chatter with market share. Way more money is still made off of TV contracts than via social posts. LeBron is or was a great, great player, and the length of time he has been great is truly remarkable, a testament to his dedication to his craft. But the league is not going to force a lockout in order to strong-arm a collective bargaining agreement out of the players to compensate for the loss in revenue they expected when their cash cow and number one attraction, Michael Jordan, called it a career. That's what happened. So why did Commissioner Adam Silver suggest that the league schedule, which historically hasn't been released until August anyway, is being held up because the schedule makers want to know where LeBron is playing before they complete it? A couple of reasons. One, it could be his last season, and obviously the league would like to broadcast as many games as possible. The Lakers were 17-65 Kobe Bryant's last season. Everyone knew they weren't going to be competitive, but the league still gave them 19 national TV appearances simply because it was Kobe's last year. Two, the Cavaliers were 9th in national TV appearances last year. If LeBron returns home with retirement as a possibility, certainly that number would go up, and the league would expect Cavs Heat games to be box office draws, as opposed to the interest in that matchup if LeBron is in Minnesota or Philadelphia.
So that just go to show that LeBron James is taking advantage of the situation, and taking advantage of these situations, he's making it seem like it's leverage, right? Ric Bucher just said that the league don't really put out the schedule until August. Here we are. It's late July. It's not August. So, but they made it seem like, oh, LeBron is holding up the league. That's how important LeBron James is. It's just a bunch of smoke and mirrors, right? And so basically, like I said, that won't stop. LeBron James is more polarizing, than anything. And once LeBron James step away from the league, things I think are just going to go south for him. But I like to listen to Ric Bucher when he speak about LeBron James, because he just really he keep it real when he talk about LeBron James and the situation. And I don't get the impression that it like he don't like LeBron James. Like, I don't dislike LeBron James either. But people who have been around long enough to have seen basketball since the 80s and then the 90s and the early 2000s, like, people know the difference. And you really just can't manufacture certain things when it comes to that. So LeBron James and Rich Paul, they on a sinking ship. And so that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, man, I'm going to check y'all out in the next video.